Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and for the first time in a very long time, we're going to talk about Samurott. The last Samurott that was released was actually back in August 2016, and bearing in mind this is going to be a November release, so we're talking 4 years and 3 months. I think it's about time we had a new Samurott. Now, our translation here actually comes from me using Google Translate, though I have talked it through with the lovely Primal Lugia, who's shown me some previous cards that this matches quite nicely, and I will of course be checking with the lovely Antoine Boulet before I post this video. And what we've got is 160 HP, and 160 HP is fine. It's alright for a stage 2, it's nothing special. Retreat cost of 2 does give free retreat with Air Balloon here, which is, nice if you're playing that. And the weakness of Lightning's an odd one. Up till now, Lightning has been awesome, but people think that losing Electro Power and Thunder Mountain is going to make them significantly less better. Less better, less good, let's go for that. Having said that, we've got loads of stuff like Raikou Amazing Rare that seems amazing, so probably not a great weakness. But then again, you're a water Pokemon, which means you can accelerate energy using Frostmoth, if that's what you're into. You can search out that energy using Capacious Bucket, if that's what you're into. We've got that Nessa card coming that lets you recover your water Pokemon and energy. So it's not bad. And of course, then you're hitting weakness on all of these welded X, and these welded X are frankly pretty gosh darned good right now. I mean, Centiskorch is one of the best decks in the format. So you know what? I'm kind of alright with this. But what does it do? Well, it has an ability which we think it's had many times before, but it's actually just had once and been printed multiple times. Damage done to this Pokemon by attacks is reduced by 30. Oh, it's just like the first ever Samurott we ever had, which then became the promo Samurott, which then became the Samurott from Legendary Treasures, but they're all the same card, just with different artwork, although the Legendary Treasures artwork is proper job phenomenal. So it's about the kind of ability we would expect on here. Reduces damage done to you by 30, gives you a little bit more survivability. So I said 160 HP was about right, but nothing amazing, and that's true, incidentally. But of course, that's not the whole story. It's now got an effective HP of 190, and of course, if your opponent's not one-hit KOing you, then it keeps applying and applying and applying. So take something like Vikavolt, for instance. Vikavolt comes along doing 50 damage, but you're weak, so it's double with weakness, and actually it ends up doing 100. Oh wait, but then your ability kicks in, pops it down to 70, and then another 70 means they actually whiff that 2-hit KO that they would otherwise be relying on. Would you look at that, ladies and gentlemen? Would you look at that? Of course, if you're going a little bit silly here and playing around with stuff like Weakness Guard energy such that you're turning off weakness, you're actually taking 20 damage from Vikavolt, and that's kind of hilarious. Though, of course, this is a stage 2. We haven't really mentioned that yet. Obviously, the fact that it is a stage 2 is important and bad, and, yeah. It's not great, if I'm honest with you. We don't want it to be a stage 2. Being a stage 2 is awkward. And we got plenty of things we can do. We got Rosa, which is really good for stage 2s, because lets you search for a trainer card, a Pokemon, and an energy, and clearly the trainer card is either going to be Rare Candy or an Evolution Incense for a Samurott, depending on which other one you've got. Hopefully you've got one of them. And being a water deck, this would work nicely with the Inteleon that lets you search for 2 trainer cards when you evolve, which in and of itself does evolve from the Drizzile that lets you search for 1 trainer card when you evolve, but it is a stage 2 and that's awkward. But this ability isn't a reason to play the card, it is a bonus if you're playing the card anyway. The attack for 1 water, 2 colourless energy does 120 damage, and you may return 2 energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon to their hand. And if this looks a little bit familiar, it should. It is actually the Lapras that came around in the Sword and Shield base set. But having said that, Lapras was 4 water energy, 70 damage. This is 1 water, 2 colourless, 120. Shall we say less energy and putting some colourless in while almost doubling the damage? That does make it a lot better. This is one of the ones that Primal Lugia pointed me towards. Helped with the translation. Yes, it is in and of itself the same effect on the attack, but let's be super, super clear about this. This is a significantly better version of the attack. Though while we're being super, super clear about stuff, we should be super, super clear about the fact that this is a Stage 2 Pokemon. And that is, not ideal, shall we say. But the fact of the matter is, energy-wise, this is eminently payable. We've got Frostmoth to accelerate water energy. It's a non-GX, non-V Pokemon, so we got twin energy. It is an evolved Pokemon, so we've got triple acceleration energy. So energy-wise, we should be paying this pretty gosh darn quickly. Damage-wise, I'm underwhelmed. See, I kind of have a rule when I'm looking at cards, and it's not a rule that Pokemon know about, unless they watch a lot of my videos, or that they seem to follow themselves, but my deal is that if I'm taking a Stage 2 Pokemon, and I'm attaching multiple energy, and I'm hitting for weakness, I expect to get a KO. And sure, when I'm against Centiskorch V, I am getting a KO, but because I'm a Stage 2 Pokemon, the reality is that Centiskorch V is probably going to evolve into the V Max before I've got the Stage 2 with free energy on. And when it's evolved into the VMAX, it's got 320 HP, not to mention any heat fire energy it might be attaching, 20 more HP per heat fire energy. And actually, I'm not impressed with this. Because it's not enough damage. I'm sorry, I know this sounds mean. I want to get a KO here. If I'm getting a Stage 2 Samurott and I'm attaching free energy, even if 2 of them are colourless, I want to be getting a one-hit KO on a Centiskorch V Max. And the fact that I'm not getting a one-hit KO on a Centiskorch V Max honestly makes me kind of upset. And it does make me judge. This makes me judge the card. I mean, kind of the entire point of this video is judging the cards, I suppose. But it makes me judge it in a negative light. And that's not good. It's just not. Now, it's not just about the damage, I should add. It is also about the energy denial. And the energy denial here is actually really, really cool. Because you see, what you're doing is you're taking 2 energy and you're putting them both back into your opponent's hand. And that makes a big deal. That does make a big deal. But how many of them is it going to really affect? Now, the weird thing is, I do actually really, really like this when I'm going up against Centiskorch. Because, okay, fine, I might only be getting a 2-hit KO, but Centiskorch is a deck that relies on piling energy on. If I'm getting 2 of them back to their hand while getting a 2-hit KO, and I've often said if you can't get a 1-hit KO, get a 2-hit KO with Disruption, that's kind of alright by me. I'm starting to feel a little bit better about it. Now, it really does depend on energy-hungry Pokemon. I mean, against something like Zacian, I could really see this working nicely. Because Zacian for free energy does 230, it's a great attack. But the reality is Zacian basically has 3 ways of accelerating energy. They've got Metal Saucer, which will accelerate a metal energy from their discard to one of their bench metal Pokemon. They've got Zacian's ability, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, draw them all. But any metal energy you attach to Zacian if you want to. But that ends your turn, so that's not ideal after the first couple of turns. And then Turbo Patch, flip a coin if heads, attach a basic energy from your discard to one of your basic non-GX Pokemon. Well, the fact of the matter is that Metal Saucer you can only play 4. Turbo Patch you can only play 4 and it's on a coin flip. And the ability ends your turn. So, after your opponent's played a couple of these item cards, you should be able to use something like this, get rid of their energy, and again, you're not getting a 1-hit KO, you are getting a 2-hit KO, but only if they're not using stuff like Metal Goggles and Lucario and Melmetal, and to be fair, Metal Goggles can be removed by a Tool Scrapper, but Lucario and Melmetal unfortunately can't, which is actually kind of annoying, but if you can get rid of all of their energy, you should actually be in a pretty good situation here. And that's where this comes in. That is a niche use of this deck. Again, bearing in mind you've got an effective HP of 190, higher if your opponent isn't getting a one-hit KO. And essentially what you're doing here is you're wrecking energy-hungry decks. Against stuff like Centiskorch or Zacian, and I know Centiskorch can welder, but they might not have it, and they might not have enough energy, etc., even when they do. Against energy-hungry decks, this can come in really nicely, and obviously you can combo this with stuff like Crushing Hammer, remove an energy on a coin flip, or stuff like Team Yell Grunt, which lets you take an energy from your opponent's active and put it into their hand. Against Frosmoth decks, well, they can just reattach it, not great. But against stuff like Zacian, I can see this working. It seems like a fun little tech Pokemon to play in a deck of a bunch of other attackers that are serving other niches. Hang on a second. This is a Stage 2 Pokemon. And I just go back to, I love it. But if I'm being completely honest, I'm not entirely sure it's gonna be good enough. Because it's a Stage 2. And I know that's lazy analysis, and I know that's the first reaction of a lot of people, but I do think this might be one where it's just not good enough. Now, having said that, Inteleon's good. Inteleon searches out trainer cards. Inteleon, if you're playing that, you could fit a 1-0-1 line of this in easily. You're playing stuff like Rare Candy, you're searching out trainers. In an Inteleon deck, maybe I'm changing my mind. I'm giving this free Wassies because I really do like the attack, and I do think the ability is a nice bonus, but I do think it is going to be very specific, the decks in which you can play this, and it will be good, which does seem a little bit at odds with the fact that this is a Stage 2 and therefore difficult to tech into a deck. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.